In my last video, I said, it's that time of year again. It's the season. It's that time where all we're hearing about is reflecting on 2024 and welcoming 2025 with a bunch of goals and resolutions. And when you are in the middle of thinking about making some sort of a career transition, you're feeling that anxiety and dread about what you're experiencing right now, but not certain about how to move forward, the last thing you want to hear about are resolutions for 2025 and reflections from 2024. And I have good news for you, because it doesn't have to feel icky and it doesn't have to be so hard, and it can be a really effective process. I'm Jeanette, the Northland Coach. I'm so glad that you have joined me here today, because I am going to share with you a really simple process. Now, in the previous video, I talked a lot about the very simple question we can ask ourselves as we reflect back. So I'll make sure to give you a link if you haven't had a chance to view that video, to that process. But essentially what we're doing in the reflection piece is we're asking ourselves one easy question, which is, what did I learn in this last year? And we don't have to put down every little detail of what we've learned, but what are some of the significant things that have really come up as insights for you in the last year? Maybe it's just one thing, but that is where we want to start on this next piece, which is, all right, now that we have that captured, what do we want to do about that? What are the meanings associated with what we have learned from this last year that we want to carry into the new year? And particularly within this context of, we're thinking about a career transition, what specifically is going to help us move through from what we learned in the past year. So in order to model this process, I will pick up where we left off in the last video, where I was talking about what some of my learnings are from this past year, and now what I'm going to do with them. So the first thing that I talked about in terms of one thing, an insight that I had that I want to build more on in the coming year, is that there is no feeling like the feeling of exhilaration, accomplishment that I can get when I have tackled a hard thing. And by hard, I mean, it's something that it's not in my comfort zone. It's something that I would rather not do. And yet, when I come through on the other side, it's such a great feeling. The particular example that I used that was a real big one for me was taking on the challenge of the last part of the International Coaching Federation credentialing process, which was taking a difficult exam in the spring of 2024. Now, I don't have another one of those things that is on my plan for 2025. I don't have another credentialing hurdle to jump over at this point in time. And I don't have a specific goal in mind that would be like, I really don't want to do this. This is going to be hard, but this could be a good thing. But I'm going to be looking for that in the January time period to identify that for the year ahead. It may turn out for me that it isn't necessarily a career specific one. It might be, in my general life that, some big things, maybe some changes that will be made in this coming year. It could be something like that, that I know that on the other side of it, I will feel that exhilaration. So what is that for you? What, maybe it is the career transition that you've been thinking about and just have not been ready to take steps to. Maybe that is the single hard thing that you're going to be able to look back and reflect, wow, that was a hard thing, and I'm so glad that I came through that. If that's what you're considering, I would be happy to offer you a complimentary, career strategy consultation session. I'll put the link to scheduling that, so completely free, just a chance to kind of brainstorm what that transition might look like for you. I'll put that in the description box. All right, so that was my first big learning from this last year. The second one that I had was more personal in nature, but I think this can apply even when we're putting the career strategy wrapper around it. But for me, the big learning was tackle things that are on your bucket list. And the other insight that I came to was, oh, I actually don't have a written bucket list. Now, the thing was very obvious to me. My example was a train trip that I had always, well, not always, but for a good amount of time had been on my mind, like, oh, I would really like to do that. I did that in 2024, and I want to do more of those kind of things. So for me, the first step that I'm going to take toward this is beginning a bucket list. I'm going to actually brainstorm, what are those things? I think some of them will be, as I say, lower hanging fruit in terms of like, oh, it's on my mind, it's obvious. But I think more reflection for me will help that move forward. Now, what does that mean for you? And in particular, what does it mean for you in like that career wrapper around it? Well, one, I think that it means that even when you're focused on career as the big thing that you're, wanting to make some changes around, doing things on your personal side, bucket list items such as that, can add new energy and fuel to move you forward. So that's one conclusion. The other thing is, what is the bucket list of your career items? What are the things that you've been putting on the back burner but really, really want to accomplish? And as we're in this mid-career stage and moving, ultimately toward the end of our career, what are the things on your list? So maybe making a list for those career bucket list items might be an action that you want to take. Now, the next thing that I really took as a huge insight from last year is the move from my perfectionism tendencies, where I said in the previous video, I really want that. I want the 100%, but I'll go for 99.9% as the goal. Well, the big insight that I took from my experience of 4 is that is the wrong goal. Perfectionism, getting too perfect, it's not it. Really, the much better goal is, putting a line in the sand of like, it's 70%. I want 70% good, because what that enables me to do is move forward and try things without all of the heavy baggage of it's got to be at the 99.9% level. So I am definitely going to continue to pull that mindset for myself into this new year. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm not striving for excellence. Of course, I want to move in that direction. But the point of it is that I can't get to that unless I'm willing to try, like the trial and error, let's experiment, let's try that growth mindset approach. That's what's really key. So I'm still moving toward excellence, but in a way that lets me breathe. Like I can actually get the oxygen in that can be the energy to move forward. I'm definitely going to continue that into the new year. And I would encourage that for you. I think that that is exactly the kind of mindset that will enable you to have the freedom to explore and look at the other options that are available to you, when right now I have a sense that you're probably feeling so stuck you don't see any other options. You just feel locked in there. Some of this breathing with the 70% can give you more of a glimpse of that. And again, if you would like some help in like even thinking about what those things are, just book some time with me. I'm happy to do some, free one-on-one time with you. Now, the other thing that I really, two other things that I want to pull into the new year that I think can be helpful from a career perspective as well is I discovered in the course of 2024 even more than I thought I knew about this idea of out-of-the-box thinking for mid-career professionals as we move in. Like traditional retirement, it doesn't have to be it. There are other options out there. There are other things that we can do. So I am going to be continuing to explore those things because, again, such a sense of being able to breathe more freely, have more freedom, see more hope and possibility out of that. So I'm going to explore that for myself, and I'm going to explore it for you and bring you more of that information in the new year. And then finally, the other thing that I experienced, I've been in the, we went into the pandemic virtual world, and that has brought about many, many benefits. That has enabled my business to exist because I can do, coaching in a virtual session, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, I can do virtual coaching. So that's all good. And it's also good to have some in 3D, like the full me in real life experiences out there, because I've learned that they are very energizing for me. I come back from them thinking, why didn't I do that? Why don't I do more of that? So I'm going to make sure that, in my everyday experience, I have more opportunities to go out in person and network, have lunch, have coffee, present, facilitate in, real life settings. I'm not giving up the virtual side of it, not by a long shot, but a mixture I'm finding is a good, I don't know, the word tonic comes to me. I don't know if it's a good tonic for this. Well, it sounds good, at least. It's a good solution. And I'm going to be carrying more of that. And for you, as you think about, the transition part of it, kind of that mixture, the whole combination of different strategies that you will follow to pursue what is that next thing. Some of them virtual, some of them in person, but, all of them coming together to be, the solution to moving you forward. So that's it. It's a very simple process of first identifying, what did I learn? And then how am I going to continue to